It's the night before the day that you're supposed to publish a blog or a YouTube video, and you find yourself thinking, what do I need to write about or talk about? Today we are talking about the one system you need to become the go-to expert and never have to ask a question about what kind of content to create. If this is something that you're interested in, I would love for you to hit subscribe. Hey, welcome to Rainaland. This is my channel where I am talking about all things becoming the go-to expert, figuring out the content that you need, and stepping into the spotlight. Today we're talking about a client and community favorite. We're talking about our verticals method. So I created a tool about a year ago, and it was just for me because I realized that I had a lot of content that I was creating similar stuff around, and I didn't have a way to organize it, and I didn't know how they connected. So the verticals method was born. It was really a Trello board, and it just helped me figure out where I needed to put things and where the freebies lived and where my products were in relation to those things. Having a content creation strategy is important not only for your social media posts, your YouTube video, your blog posts, or maybe you were a guest on a podcast. All of these pieces of content are really, really important, and you also need to be tracking where they lead to. What's the customer journey through the information that you're trying to give? So while it might be really exciting to say yes to any given opportunity or any topic that you want to write about or talk about, at some point you're going to have to figure out what you want to be known for. What is the area of your expertise? And having specific categories or topics that you're talking about and you're known for, it helps you get really clear on what you need to be talking about, what you need to be creating content about, and it becomes easier and easier for other people to say, oh, if you need such and such, you should go to this other person, right? And once you have these categories for your verticals, you can build products, blog posts, high-end offers, keynote presentations, or any other content that you want. I'm taking you on a tour of the verticals and in hopes that you'll be able to organize content so that you know what you want to be the go-to expert for. So how do you organize your verticals? The first step is to brainstorm all the things you want to be talking about, what you're knowledgeable about, the things that you do maybe beyond your business. You might find inspiration from maybe the past 20 Facebook posts you've written, or maybe the answers that you've had, blog posts you've written in the past, and even if it doesn't feel like there was a lot of strategy behind it, you want to go look for that information. Step 2 is all about finding the themes from step 1, figuring out how to see the trends that you have in the content that you've created in the past. Step 3 is thinking about what you believe about this topic. Do you have a particular belief or a philosophy or a particular perspective then that somebody else might not have? So figuring out what you believe about something is incredibly important because there's so many people talking about the same exact topic, right? And putting your spin on it is the most important thing about picking a topic. Step number 4 is figuring out the content you want to create around each of these topics. So here's the thing, you have to choose 3 to 5 areas, verticals or buckets, whatever you want to call them. I call them verticals, and help shape the content through those topics. Once you figure out these verticals, I'm guessing you can create at least a list of 5 things per vertical that you can talk about. Whether it's something that your clients might need to know, maybe it's something that really ticks you off that other people do that they should know about, or mistakes that people make typically. So you can even take some of your philosophy, things that we talked about earlier, what do you believe about this topic, and turn that into content. It will show the people who are reading or consuming your content how different your perspective is. All right, so let me take you on a little tour of what you get if you grab our freebie down in the comments below. So the Vertical and Strategic Visibility Board is in Trello. If you've never used it, it's a really cool tool to help you organize your thoughts and your memos and all of that stuff. So for us here, we're organizing our content, and I have a couple notes for you just in case you need to remember how to do it. But here are your verticals. I would recommend no more than 5. If you get to 3 and you feel like you have a couple more, I would just try to stop at 3 and then maybe look at 4 and 5 a little bit later once you're more established. So here's the order that I go in. I write down the client pain point, which is how is the person that you're trying to help feeling before you help them on this particular topic. Then you go into what blog posts or trainings or audio recordings or any kind of free content that you have created before. And this is free content, like the kind that you don't even need an opt-in for. Document all of that. Once you click into this, you'll see that you can leave a description and then comments. I would recommend you put these as comments in here and put in the hyperlinks as well. And then in the freebie is where you're basically exchanging something like a PDF or an audio recording or something like that in exchange for somebody's email address. And then I just document this because sometimes you'll create a couple different kinds of freebies for this vertical, and then you'll notice that for other verticals you have none. So you want to spend a little bit of time creating the freebies for the other verticals if that's what your strategy is. And then the seed products are basically just a very simple way of saying it's an inexpensive product, especially if you're an info product person. Mid-tier and high tier are very subjective. Actually, all of these pricing tiers are very subjective because it depends on your business, right? If you're a virtual assistant, you might not have a super high price ticket offer. Whereas if you're a graphic designer and you do websites, you might have a $20,000 website package. So it really depends on your business. There's no right or wrong answer. For a seed offer, I would say it's in the neighborhood of like under $50, but that could be different too. It could be like $7. So who knows? The philosophy is something that we had talked about earlier in this video, where you can document what it is that you believe. What are the things that you disagree with that are common knowledge in your industry? Maybe some specific research that you've done that you can pop in here as well. The keynote is just for documentation. So say, for instance, you've been asked to give a presentation in somebody's community, or maybe you do a summit presentation and you put together a slide deck with talking points. This is an opportunity for you to document where you saved that, where it is, what kind of talking points you had underneath this keynote, and if you can repurpose that later in the notes, later in the future, that might be helpful for you so you don't have to recreate the wheel. And then stories. Stories are a super fun one. This is like a bank of stories that you can use. This is an idea that I got from Jessica Rasdall, who is a speaking coach, where you can figure out what stories really illuminate the point you're trying to make with this vertical. So it's a really helpful way of combining your knowledge plus a really vivid memory or a vivid case study of something that you've seen work. All right, so here's the thing about the strategic visibility piece. You want to lead people through from the top to the bottom and beyond, right? And I see a lot of people who are just getting their toes wet in the visibility space. Maybe they're pitching podcasts or being on radio or TV, but they're not leading people to the right place. And they're missing a lot of opportunities. So why I call this the strategic visibility model is because you want, once you get that visibility, to be able to leverage that so that more people can come find you. So the stories connect to the things that you're saying, the points that you're trying to make, and then you're leading them right down the path so that you can hopefully solve more of their problems. So this is a really important way to think about this, because when you get opportunities to speak on something or guest post about something or become a guest on anybody's show, you really want to be clear on what you are going to be talking about. Somebody might come to you for particular topics, but for you to be able to say yes or no decisively with strategy is incredibly important. So don't say yes to every opportunity that comes around. The second thing is, don't look around to see what other people are saying and say, oh, I know something about that. Let me write a blog post or create a YouTube video about it. The third thing I would say don't do too is create a new product or service package based on what you're seeing somebody else do. But what you can do is decide what your content areas, verticals are, and what you want to be known for. You can create a philosophy bank that you can see in our Trello board underneath. And you pitch the topics. When you want to be seen or be on stage, you pitch these specific topics. And once you're on those platforms, once you get those yeses, you lead people back to the freebies that you've created, products that you've created that lead down that path. It's really a client journey. And the verticals is just the map of how they get from, point A of not knowing you to how they purchase from you. So I hope this was helpful. I'd love for you to go ahead and hit subscribe if this was something that was interesting to you. If you have a sense of what your verticals might be, I would love to hear about them in the comments. See you in the next video.